After about an hour and a half train ride and some yummy train snacks, we arrived in Rome to a very, very busy
Made
street.
it to Rome.
The line for the taxi was a mile long to the extent we couldn't tell where it began or ended, so we decided to order an Uber to get to our hotel. We stayed at the Hotel Savoy, which is a 4-star hotel and it looks immaculate and amazing on the outside, but was kind of an overall mediocre experience. After we settled in at our hotel, we decided to walk through the orange tree-lined streets of Rome so that we could find some lunch. After a delicious pasta and pizza lunch, we decided to go visit the Colosseum and get tickets to tour inside, as we couldn't pass up the opportunity to explore one of Rome's most notorious historical landmarks. This is definitely one of my favorite highlights when we visited Rome.
The ambulance?
After our tour of the Colosseum, we decided to get dinner at Al di Colo 9. And I just thought the pasta was okay, but the limoncello and Aperol spritzes were fantastic. Now after dinner, of course, we had a craving for gelato, so we marched all the way across town to find this amazing gelato place, which, in my opinion, was actually the best gelato I had in Italy, even though we went to San Gimignano with the world's proclaimed best gelato.
The next morning, after a more normal American-style complimentary breakfast at our hotel, we left bright and early for our tour of the Vatican and St. Peter Basilica, which is really interesting just to learn about the history, and it was honestly just such a cool sight to see. We didn't know a ton about it before we went on our tour, so it was just really interesting. There were tons of people visiting, like hundreds, maybe even thousands of people, even though it wasn't busy season. Like, this is slow season and there was just tons of people packed in here.
And Julia II commissioned the project of the Basilica to John Manfred.
After our tour, we stopped and had lunch at this cute little tucked away restaurant where, of course, we had to have our limoncello spritzes, pasta, and pizza. And then on the way back, we ordered a coffee, which honestly tasted so awful. It tasted spoiled, so we tossed it. But we had our first Maritozzi, which is a traditional Roman pastry, which was so good. And then by chance, we stumbled into the Pantheon. We got so lucky. Well, I couldn't leave Rome without trying one of their public drinking fountains, no matter how gross it might have been. And then for the second time in 2 days, we passed through a filming site for the upcoming Fast and Furious movie, which was right next to our hotel.
Here we are sitting at Ad Hoc. It's very beautiful.
We went to dinner at a restaurant called Ad Hoc, and at first we got our reservations mixed up, but we got seated anyways on the patio, and they served us some complimentary rosé. They brought us some pre-appetizers on the house, which was a fried noodle dish with salmon on top. And then they brought us a basket of unique breads infused with their specialty truffle. And then we ate these salad bowls that we had ordered. Our meals were so yummy. We ordered 2 pasta dishes, one with tenderloin, the other with truffles, their specialty, and some white wine. Then we ordered dessert, but before they served our dessert, they brought out a little complimentary pre-dessert that was chocolate strawberry with tart grapes on it. And then we had our passion fruit pistachio dessert that we ordered. And then once dessert was over, they came over and served us a complimentary assortment of cookies because it looked like we didn't have enough sugar, is what they said. And then before we left, they actually gave me a bottle of local olive oil to take as like a souvenir. And on top of all of that, they gave us a 10% off, and the entire experience was somehow less than $100. After our amazing experience, we decided to walk back to our hotel and saw some of the beautiful sights of Rome. And just by luck, we stumbled into the Trevi Fountain, and I'll show you in a minute, but we watched a beautiful, kind of funny light show. And the light show ended up being a tennis match ad with a mix of Roman and Greek gods and then the tennis players. So that was just a funny way to end off our night, but it was so beautiful.
Now, it's been about a week since we first touched base in Italy, and we're reaching that point where we desperately needed to get our clothes washed, and we didn't really want to pay hundreds of dollars to have our hotel do it. So we looked up a laundromat, stuffed our clothes into my carry-on bag, and we took a taxi there.
I just wanted to mention that this is probably one of the most tame cab rides that we've taken. Most of the taxis were whipping around, no matter if there's a pedestrian or cars stopped in front of them, and yet it felt like they were always in control. Going to do laundry with our suitcase.
During our walk to the laundromat, we began to notice that this is actually one of the prettier areas of Rome that we hadn't seen yet.
Oh, it is self-service. Look how cute it is over here. And I did not bring my camera because every time I bring my camera, it's like so heavy and I wish I didn't bring it. But every time I don't bring my camera, it looks like this.
Here's a quick example of how tricky it can be to figure out how to flush a toilet in Italy. Aside from some of the graffiti, this was honestly one of the prettiest areas. So after we dropped off our suitcase full of laundry, we had coffee at that cafe, hung out at some cute steps, and decided to get lunch at a place called Trieste Pizza. The workers here were so fun and quirky, and you could kind of gauge the experience just by reading the sign on this wall here. We got our laundry back safely and then departed for a food tour throughout Rome. The foods we tried during the food tour were some Roman-style pizza, fried artichoke, and rice balls in the Jewish ghetto, and then afterwards we sat down to have some traditional Italian-style pastas. We finished off our food tour by getting some gelato at a restaurant called Fat Morgana, which was pretty good, but not quite as good as the gelato from 2 nights ago. On the way back to our hotel, we coincidentally ran into the Spanish Steps, alongside a couple that was also on the food tour with us, so we decided to take some pictures.
This was our last morning in Rome, so of course we took in the sights and packed up all our stuff and headed out to a cafe. We were very tired, if you can't tell. And we had cappuccinos and our maritozzi's. And then I went out and took some photos of the beautiful orange trees that just lined the roads. I just thought they were super unique. We don't have those where we're at. And then after that, we took a taxi and headed over to the train station to catch the train to Naples and then a ferry to Ischia.
Run on the train.
Here we are at the Roma Termini train station. Getting in line with our coach all the way at number 4. Oh, you can see the train coming in, and we'll record that.